Welcome to our virtual friends as well on Facebook and YouTube. We love you. We appreciate that you are here and part of this community. We're going to begin with an opening prayer, as we always do. And let's just take a moment as we center ourselves, going within to our heart space, letting go of anything that might be distracting us, whether it's noise in the outer, maybe it's thoughts of things that we need to do. Just let that all go as we come fully present to this moment. And as we feel that goodness that is within, the joy, the life, deep down in our souls. We give thanks for coming together today. We give thanks for this beautiful, supportive, loving universe. And we open our hearts and we open our minds to spirit within so that we might learn and grow, that we might share and laugh. And so it is. Amen. Now we have the reading of our mission statement. I invite you to do this with all together. Together, unity of Hagerstown, a welcoming community, embraces spiritual awakening through affirmative prayer and meditation, creating a positive path of abundant living for all. And now we have the reading of the Daily Word with Barbara. The Daily Word, for those who may not be familiar with it, is a daily inspirational reading, just like what it says. Okay.
Good morning. Good morning. Today's word is glory, magnificence, radiance, and tremendous power. These are awe-inspiring qualities that describe the glory of God. Because I am a living expression of spirit, these glorious attributes are also part of my spiritual nature. In the peace of prayer, exquisite awareness of God's glory fills my mind and heart. Everyone is God's living expression, a reflection of divine glory, just as I am. Even when my limited human perception has not yet perceived it, my faith shows me this truth about every person I meet. As my awareness of glory within awakens, spiritual wisdom, understanding, and love teach me to cooperate with all who are seeking to build greater harmony, abundance, and compassion among all humankind and the world's creatures. And from John 17:22, the glory that you have given me, I have given them, so that they may be one as we are one. And together, we join in saying the affirmation. I
celebrate the glory of God in myself and all others.
Take a moment and take those words into our heart space and reflect. And one more time, we join. I
Celebrate the glory of God in myself and all others.
Thank you, Barbara. Excuse me. Now we have an opportunity to greet our neighbors. So this is a chance for us to get to know each other. And if you are not a hugger, then I invite you to put your hand out for a handshake. If you prefer, just do a little namaste. We're very flexible here. But I will warn you, this is a group of huggers. So if you're not a hugger, be prepared. And again, this is a time just to say hello and a few words perhaps. Not a life story. And if you'd like to say hello to Facebook friends, there's a beautiful gold rectangle you just stand on and say hello to Facebook friends. Okay? Let's greet our neighbors.
See you, buddy.
You doing all right?
I'm doing good. Okay, if I can escape still. He's doing good, yeah.
Why does it do that? Oops.
It's kind of loose.
Because you got to tighten it up that way.
I don't know how to tighten the top.
To see the love, you got to be the love. You want to see the love, because you reap what you sow, you meet what you know, and you see what you believe. So give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Don't tell me that life is a desert.
There we go. Thank you.
You can dance to the drain full of water, but you gotta get your head straight first. Give a little bit, give a little bit, give a little bit of that good, good thing. That's all we're going to sing. Have fun with it. Move around. Give a little bit, give a little bit, give a little bit of that good, good thing. Yeah, yeah. Give a little bit, 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 give a little bit of that good, good thing. One more time. Give a little bit, give a little bit, give a little bit of that good, good thing.
Yes, thank you, Greg and Patty. Give a little bit of that good thing. That peace, that love that you are, right? So we're going to continue with our series. Actually, we're going to conclude our series on the badass women of the Bible. It may make a comeback next summer. I don't know. Okay. So, and excuse me. We're going to be looking today at Tabitha, also known as Dorcas in the Christian scriptures. Both of these names mean gazelle. One's in the Aramaic and one's in the Greek. But in the Aramaic, Tabitha also means beautiful. So I'm going to use Tabitha because I just have that little richness in there. So her story takes place in the early church after Jesus had died, before Paul became this evangelical powerhouse. Peter, the disciple who is symbolic of faith, was traveling around teaching and preaching and healing, and he went to Joppa, an area near where Tabitha lived. About the same time, she grew sick and she passed away. So the community there around her friends and her support, okay, it's all going away now.
Take a drink.
Cough drops are wonderful. The community there sent 2 men to find Peter to come to the house at once. Thank you. Loving and supportive community. It's wonderful. So Peter returned the 2 men back to the house. Tabitha's body had been washed and laid in the upper room. And when Peter got there, he went upstairs and widows crying and wailing and grieving her loss because she was a good woman. She did good deeds. She was benevolent, if you will. She always was helping the poor. So Peter asked all the widows who were crying to leave the room. And he started praying, and then he turned to Tabitha's body and said, "Tabitha, wake up, get up." She opened her eyes, looked at Peter, probably wondered who this was, but then he took her by the hand. She got out of bed, or wherever she was. I'm not quite sure. She might have been on top of the table at that time. And he presented her back to the widows who were crying as she had just come back to life. So this story sounds a lot like the one that we looked at last week, Jairus' daughter, in which Jesus did pretty much the same thing. But we remember that Jesus, our elder brother, told us that all the things that he did, we could do as well. And Peter's a pretty good example of that, I think. So we like to look at things metaphysically here at Unity, metaphysically seeing that each of these characters in the story represent a state of consciousness within us, within each of us. So Peter, I already mentioned, is symbolic of faith, that faith principle within each of us. And it's kind of interesting to me that how the story is written. Tabitha's body was washed and laid out basically, and then they called So I was curious, like, were they asking Peter to come just to bless the body? Or were they expecting this miracle to occur? We don't know, but it's interesting to me to think about that. But Peter setting out all the widows from the room before he started praying is really representing how we ourselves need to get rid of all the life-denying thoughts before we come into our own inner altar. All thoughts that are looking in the past, even with appreciation, because I'm sure the widows appreciated everything that Tabitha had done, but to come into this now moment, this present moment, where we really experience the divine. So when Peter tells Tabitha to get up and she opens her eyes, very symbolic too of how we have to open our eyes, shift our perspective to see things from a spiritual lens rather than our human expression at times. The upstairs room, of course, is raising our consciousness. Anytime in the stories of the Bible, if we go up a mountain, if we go upstairs, it's lifting up our awareness. And the washed body can certainly symbolize washing our own selves of any negativity before, as we go into that greater awareness. Now, because of the good works that Tabitha had done, metaphysically, she represents spiritual benevolence. The Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and yes, there is such a thing, tells us the grace and the beauty of spirit are again awakened. In Tabitha, spiritual benevolence is made alive. Benevolence is not really a word that we hear very often, except for maybe in the context of a benevolence fund, right? I don't really hear it at all, except for that. But what it really means is doing good, being kind. It is the quality of being well-meaning, having this disposition to do good. Einstein tells us that the most important question we can ask ourselves is if this is a friendly universe. Is this universe benevolent, in other words? We're all born with this negativity bias that's looking for what's wrong, looking for the saber-toothed tiger, looking for what's wrong. So we have to shift our perspective to look for the good in order to trust that, yes, indeed, this is a loving, supportive universe. Now, recently, while I was working on this lesson, I received a paper on benevolence. Isn't that something? I know, I love these little synchronicities. It was from Reverend Paul Hasselbeck, a Unity minister, who was also for many years director and instructor for the Unity Institute. And he reminds us that this principle of benevolence is available to everybody to use, even if our being well-meaning misses the mark. We must keep in mind that being good and doing good is always based on individual perception. What is good for one person may not be good for another. So then I have to ask, well, what is spiritual benevolence then? And for me, it's when we are going within to discern what is ours to do, going within so that we can shift our perspective from seeing the condition that a person may be going through to seeing the spiritual reality that they are a loving, living expression of the divine. Moving into this way of looking and then deciding what is ours to do. Praying, discerning if we were to take any steps. Because let's face it, on a human level, we may not know what's best for another. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, tells us all good or divine mind or God is the principle of benevolence that permeates the spiritual universe and underwrites the physical universe. Benevolence permeates everything. The universe is benevolent, is good. And while at times it may not seem like it, I think it's the same with justice. We have to see that there is a long arc moving towards benevolence. So this principle of benevolence is within us as well. Emerson tells us that the benevolence is intrinsic to human beings. In such high communion, let us study the grand strokes of rectitude, a bold benevolence, an independence of friends. So I have to confess now, I had to look up what rectitude meant. It means righteousness. So right-mindedness, so seeing with that spiritual lens. That's how I'm interpreting his words. Let us study how we see spiritually, so that we may be bold with our kindness, and not just to our friends, to everyone we know, everyone we see, offering kindness, benevolence, goodness. So back to the paper that Hasselbeck wrote, I wanted to share a few things from it on how to use the principle of benevolence in our lives. So the first way is in the realm of mind or consciousness. We use the principle of benevolence when we are holding thoughts and feelings about our innate divinity and seeing divinity in others. And seeing that light in others. And in the principle, and in the realm of our bodies, the physical realm, we use that principle of benevolence when we are praying, claiming, and demanding life, health, and wholeness. We're benevolent as well towards our bodies when we eat well, exercise regularly, when we get enough rest, when we get enough water. But I want to go back to this demanding. Who are we demanding this wholeness from? Demanding life, health, and wholeness from? It's not God, because it's given freely to us, right? I mean, this is one of our birthrights. We are held in divine mind as whole. There's a source of life within us all. So we are really demanding it of ourselves to accept it, to accept this wholeness, this life, this wellness. And then in the outer realm, we use the principle of benevolence when we do good for others, when we help others. We can help somebody just by listening at times. We can help somebody by a simple thank you. Help them cross the street. Whatever it is, that principle of benevolence lies in back of every act of kindness, every act of generosity, even what you give here, how you volunteer, giving of your time, of your talent, even of your treasure. There's that principle of benevolence at work through you. There's a story about Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of religious science, another path, much like unity. And it seems that he would walk to the drugstore every day or often to get a cup of coffee back in the days when the drugstores had soda fountains. And one day he saw a man who was drunk on the outside of the store. So he invited him to come in and get a cup of coffee with him. And as they sat and talked and drank coffee, the man started to sober up a little bit and told Holmes that he used to paint signs for a living. And this is, of course, before digital printing. And Holmes was intrigued by that and gave him pen and paper and said, show me what you can do. And so the man, in a beautiful handwriting, wrote out a few things. Holmes called the owner of the store over to him and said, hey, do you need any signs to paint in? And the owner, of course, said, yes, of course. And so they worked out a deal in which the now sober man, or close to sober, I guess, was able to earn a little bit of money. A couple months later, this man, the sign painter, comes to the Founder Church, which is where Holmes served as his ministry, asking to speak to Ernest Holmes. And he was led back to Holmes's office. And he said, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I just wanted to thank you. You may not remember me, but you bought me a cup of coffee and you got me a job painting signs. And from there, I got more jobs painting signs. And it's really made a difference in my life. And I'm sober now and I'm on my way back to, making a good living. Well, Holmes was really glad to see him, of course. And after they chatted for a bit, asked the sign painter if he'd like to come for a walk with him No, I'm sorry. Let's make it a drive. As the story does actually go. Go for a drive with him. So they got in Holmes's car and they drove around till they saw a for lease sign in front of a storefront. And Holmes asked, would you like to have your own business painting signs? He said, yeah, that's always been a dream of mine. He goes, well, let's make it work. And so they worked out a deal in which Holmes invested in his business. Holmes was able to look beyond appearances of a drunk early in the morning. It's just sitting outside and see what that potential was inside of him. See that there was unlimited potential, really, and be able to discern how to help him. I'd like for us to affirm together now. I look beyond any appearance of lack in others and see the light of Spirit shining through them. And as we take a moment, just allow those words to really sink in. We affirm, not to make it true, but because it is true. We can look beyond that appearance of lack in ourselves or in others. We can see that light of Spirit shining. Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was the teacher of teachers, that's how she's known because she taught Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, and she taught Ernest Holmes, among many others, tells us, there's never a sick person coming before me to be healed, only a whole person coming to be recognized. Isn't that a great quote? I love that. So, Tabitha, spiritual benevolence, in the story, is drained of all energy, perhaps from doing good, without connecting to Source first. So maybe we have an example here of when we use our own personal willpower to do good, it is draining. It can drain us of our time, of our resources, of our energy. We can cause us to neglect our own personal needs. But our spiritual practices, meditation, prayer, whatever it is that helps you connect to that presence within, allows us to renew, to recharge, allows us to nourish our minds so that we remember to listen to our bodies so that we can hear what they need. It's important for us as we go about being the benevolent beings that I know that we all are, to remember to connect on a regular basis with that presence, that I am, that Christ consciousness, Buddha nature, whatever you want to call it, that which is your true self, your higher self, to unplug to the outer, to plug into that source of life, that source of benevolence within. We can be rewired, we can be re-inspired, and we can let our light shine so that we might see the light in others as well. So I have one more affirmation. Together, I am renewed, body, mind, and soul. So let's move into a time of meditation. And I invite you to just go ahead and get comfortable, adjusting your position as necessary. And closing your eyes or gazing softly on the ground. We begin by noticing our breath. Letting go. Letting go of anything that's distracting us. Becoming fully present to this moment. I am renewed. As I speak these words, I can feel their truth as I move into this time of quiet, this time of communion. I am renewed. accept this thought as a blessing to my life. I am renewed. If I have been burdened by a health challenge or old age, I can accept this thought as a blessing for my body. I am renewed. If I need a new perspective, if my outlook has narrowed at times, I can use this thought as a blessing for fresh viewpoints. I am renewed. I am renewed. As I speak these words or hear these words, I can feel the truth and power in them that helps me rest, that helps me connect with presence, connect with guidance within, connect with that spirit of benevolence that is me. And as we go into a moment of silence, we can take this time to extend kindness to our self, all aspects, physical self, our emotional self. We can take a few moments to extend this benevolence towards others as well in thought and prayer, seeing them as the light of God. And we can take a few moments to bask in the loving support of the universe. I am renewed in the silence. And as we continue to sit restfully, if you feel like joining in on this song, I invite you to do so. If you prefer prefer just to let the music wash over you, that's perfect too.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. And may we be happy.
Okay. Thank you, Brent and Patty, for that beautiful Karen Charter song. And the last verse normally would be, I am filled with loving kindness, because again, we are affirming that truth. We are loving kindness. We are peaceful and at ease. And maybe not, you may not be feeling it, but that is the spiritual reality of who we are. So I invite you to join me in our offertory affirmation or prayer. Together, prosperity flows freely through our church, nourishing our ministry while enriching the lives we touch. We are grateful stewards of all that is given, using it wisely to create a legacy of love and service. And we thank you for your generous donations and gifts. We couldn't do it without you.
I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled.
always the first Wednesday of every month. This is a time of really beautiful, it's a beautiful healing meditative time, and just able to unwind and relax with all the wonderful sounds that Sabrina brings in with her various instruments. On the 8th of September, we're having a potluck after service. And if you haven't been to one of our potlucks, you must come. I mean, you simply must, because they're fabulous, right? I mean, they're wonderful, yeah. And don't worry about bringing any food, because we always have plenty. And if not, it's really not going to hurt us not to eat so much one day, right? Okay. I'm very excited by the next 2 announcements. Yoga is coming back to Unity of Hagerstown. We'll have regular traditional yoga Monday evening starting at 6, and then chair yoga as well on Tuesdays at 2:30. Now this is a fabulous deal that Jan Richards is offering us. 5 classes for $45. That's $9 a class if you pay, at the first class. Other than that, it'd be $10 drop-in. That is so much cheaper than any other place where you could take yoga. It's a fantastic deal. So come on out and let's stretch and get healthy. The 12th of September is the World Day of Prayer. Now you can, on September 11th, they have an opening ceremony. It's 24 hours of prayer. And you can tune into that. There are flyers out in the foyer with the Zoom registration. And in addition to that, we're having a live prayer service Thursday for the closing here. So I invite you all to come. I think there's something really beautiful about the energy of people gathering for prayer. And there's also something very benevolent about it. We send good energy out. We send love and light out when we pray together. And then Men of Unity, September 19th, 6 p.m. And that is for all men wanting to get together and just connect and support each other and do fun things. Is that about it, Jan? Okay, good. I've never been, so I'm just kind of guessing. And then Adopt a Highway on the 21st. Zion Soup Kitchen, of course, there are sign-up sheets for both of those out in the foyer. And Holly Place, we prepare food for Holly Place once a month, the last Monday, Tuesday of every month. And the greeter teams, both of these teams need a little extra support. So if you're interested in either one, you can see BG for the greeters and Ann for the Holly Place team. Okay. Now we have another song, and this song is a blessing to the children going back to school. It's also a blessing, if you prefer, to that inner child within you. It's a blessing for all the children, everywhere present. And I hope that, I hope you enjoy this song. It's one of my favorite ones so far this year. So here we go.
Strong, gentle children, God made you beautiful, gave you the wisdom and power you need. Speak in the stillness all you are longing for. Live out your calling to love and to lead. Strong, hurting children, angry and terrified, open the secrets your life has concealed. Though you are wounded, know you are not to blame. Cry out your story till truth is revealed. Strong, knowing children,
using that also for an invitation for children to come to this ministry as well. So more of that in a couple months, possibly. So at this time, we're going to say goodbye to our Facebook friends. We love you, we honor you, we see the light that you are, and thank you so much for your love and support of this community.